Hello, viewers. While I know it's no mystery that it was me the entire time, trying to tell you to subscribe and comment, keep in mind, I still need you to do so. Due to the fact that Jigsaw's business is not yet finished, neither is mine, even in the same limelight. You might even appreciate the parallels I put forward in doing this. Nevertheless, support is always appreciated and cherished. I'll be more than likely talking to you about heavy spoilers of this film franchise now, because it's now the fifth and sixth film, and they're heavily tied together. As you can see, I am completely sick and tired of milking this franchise, making me weary. But don't worry, I'll put my best game face on. Comment below and tell me what you think of Saw 5 and 6. Telling me is of grave importance. Make your choice.
Saw 5 is directed by David Hackl, and it stars the rest of the cast that pretends to be there from the beginning, but then it's that awkward moment when you realize that this movie tries to show you how everyone was involved in the first place, since the beginning. Pretty much takes all the tension, suspense, gritty, nasty elements and just makes it a glossy, intentional mess. And I told you I was going to put my best game face on. 5 is literally after the events, as was every other movie. Keep in mind, there isn't much I can give away, as this movie really takes on a brand new plot while being in the same limelight as its predecessors. It's amazingly convoluted. Trippy at best, and makes no sense at its worst. And here's the crazy thing. I found it strangely satisfying to a small degree. And I will explain why. This is really about Detective Hoffman and his involvement since the beginning. After the Jigsaw murders are declared over, there's the next set of jigsaw traps ready to spring as 5 people are trapped in an underground room and they're all being tested for no reason whatsoever. So it seems. But we're never really quite given a reason. Sorry, let's go. While all that is going on, it's just about Hoffman trying to keep everyone off his back, mostly Strahm from discovering the truth. This is all boring. The traps, the people, the acting, the inventiveness just tries. Ultimately, it fails. Like, Strahm is trapped in the same room as everybody else with Jigsaw, Jeff, Manda, Lynn, everyone, and he finds a secret door, and he sees that there's a recording hanging off, and he listens to it, and Jigsaw's like, hey, don't pursue me anymore, and he's like, screw you, and he goes in, and he gets tackled, and, you know, because tackling these days shows the onset of being chloroformed, knocked out, placed in traps within 40 seconds of time, and they wake up. And then, of course, this case, Strahm wakes up in the box, with his head trapped in there. Water comes in and tries to drown him. He does a personal tracheotomy, and hooray! That's it for Strahm, and he's still walking around doing okay, and he just got a bit of a weird voice, and he just talks like this the entire time. And it's all about him uncovering the investigation, and that's the only thing that makes this strangely interesting, if not slightly satisfying. Strahm goes back to the events of Saw 1, Saw 2, Saw 3, and wherever it all took place, he pieces it all together, and while it's all being set up, we pretty much just get flashbacks of how everyone was involved. Like, somehow Strahm now suddenly knows about this while he's piecing it together. It's weird. They're telling us, and he's telling us, but the flashback's telling us more than what he's piecing together. Saw 5, everyone! But all in all, this is the part that I found strangely satisfying. Everything that was going back into the past, and you get to see Jigsaw and how Hoffman gets involved with Jigsaw, that was cool. And with the limited time you get to see Jigsaw in this movie, which was strangely the biggest thing that is supposed to be the pull of these movies, he's kind of limited in this. He's in it, but not by much, you know, because he had full-on flashbacks in 4, a full-blown appearance in 2 and 3. So Now we're kind of going back to the roots of one where you barely see them, but you're seeing all the new people still trying to do their crap. And it's relentlessly unrealistic. Everything else just doesn't make sense. The people are going through these traps are pointless as much as it is boring. Stylistically, this movie is surprisingly gorgeous. And that's the problem. It's not supposed to be. It's not. That's not what Saw is about. It was about it being uninviting, that kind of movie that you had no choice but to sit through. You paid money, you sat in the theater, you were supposed to not leave, and you're supposed to be uncomfortable while you're watching it. But no, it's just oversaturated, gorgeous, and weird, and it's a mess of a movie, and I have no idea how it would function on its own as a movie by itself. I don't see anyone picking up Saw 5 going, yeah, well, that made sense. Now, but of course, thanks to the flashbacks of this film, it gave me something to go on, but otherwise, this is a forgettable mess. I literally forgot what happened in Saw 5, even in a little bit of 6, which we'll get into, but I honestly felt that 5 was probably the most forgettable. And the only answers you get is just how everyone was involved. Lawrence Gordon is mentioned, Detective Tapp is mentioned, but never seen, never really witnessed doing anything more. In the end, as I said, it was forgettable. The movie's not terrible, but it's not good. For the first time in a long time, I'm going to give Saw 5 hate it. It's a light hate. Not seething, oh my god, I can't stand this movie, but it's just, blah. You bother me. Hate. I really feel like I just sleptwalked through this review. I guess it's time to get into Saw 6. Holy shit. I can't believe I'm saying this. Saw 6. This series of movies should be over. Why did you milk this series for so long? Why did you kill off Jigsaw in part 3 and keep this going for 4 more films? Trying to dance around the plot and be clever. How in the hell did you make this up? And how did you think this could be received? Saw 6 is directed by Kevin Gruert and it stars Tobin Bell as the infamous, now famous Jigsaw. If there's anything that fascinated me about this Saw franchise, is that they led into one another. Saw 2 ultimately led into Saw 3 by showing the fate of Detective Matthews. Saw 3 led into 4, but indirectly, after Jigsaw's death, it ultimately became at the same time of 3, and as I said back in my Saw 4 and 5 reviews, that's pretty much the biggest pull of the entire series and how they've been able to go this far in the first place. But, you know, while 5 was all about Hoffman trying to keep people off his back, more people start coming in going, hey, we feel like something's up. And so really it's kind of a time crunch for Detective Hoffman. He has a way out to frame Strahm as the murderous Jigsaw. He did it, he did it, he did it. Strahm's dead. And we don't know that yet. Nobody knows that except for Hoffman. He's just missing in action, so obviously he's got to be the guy, right? Because you can't find him, and he keeps popping up because Hoffman plants shit, and then, you know, the FBI's like, well, I think this is weird. So Saw 6 is essentially about Hoffman really covering his tracks this time. 5 wasn't about covering his tracks, he was just lightly doing that. And now 6... he's trying to cover his tracks. All the while, he's trying to cover his tracks while enacting the last bit of revenge or vengeance that Jigsaw has against an insurance company, but not just any insurance company, the same one that Jigsaw's been trying to be a part of for quite some time. And it's all against this executive insurance major guy, William Easton, who is put to the test for the final endgame, this guy takes it upon himself to choose who lives and who dies based off of your insurance claims. Even if your premiums are paid up, he could still deny you. And that's not good, especially since Jigsaw was one of those people that he denied. Ain't that interesting? This is where things start to make sense. They try to do a few things right. They give survivors to these traps. They give purpose back into why they were happening in the first place. They were actually trying to tell a story, and they put an insurance guy, he chooses who lives and who dies, in a game that Jigsaw has set up for him and says, make them live or die. You can do this because you've been doing this already. I'm doing it for you. Ha-ha! And there's essence of a good movie in here. I mean, you can see it. They actually looked like they were trying their best to tell the best story, and I rather enjoyed that. And the best trap is the carousel trap. I mean, it had the best dialogue, the best moments, the best message, and feeling of despair. And not that we want to feel despair, but that's the point of getting into these traps. You know, I mean, if it's set up like that, you gotta have to learn something. You're gonna have to feel something. And the carousel trap does that. These people are trying to one up each other. Not that they want to, but they have no choice to. And you got one guy determining their fates. And at a point, you see him learn a lesson. And that was the point of Saw. People learning their lessons. And the rest of the plot is pretty much hammered in between the FBI and Jill Tuck. The FBI kind of call BS on Hoffman's idea of Strahm being the Jigsaw apprentice. And they're kind of just like, oh, well, we've got some things that Jigsaw didn't know about, so we're going to go ahead and do this. And to Hoffman's surprise, he's like, you're right. I didn't know you had this. I think that trap I'm supposed to do is calling my name. I'm going to go. And ultimately, that was the most compelling part of the FBI closing in on who they think it is, no matter what Hoffman is trying to say. And there's like a scene with the recording of Jigsaw's voice and they're decoding it. That was a really cool scene. I really like that. But Jill Tuck is actually trying to give off the last will and testimony of John Kramer, and somehow she becomes a methodical killer in all this, and I just found that just pointless and strange. But ultimately, with the FBI and Jill Tuck and Hoffman, nobody communicates with one another. They have their own goals, and yet somehow it all comes together for that final twist where, oh, here's a revelation about this character and what was really going on and involved and connected, and that's going to wait until the finale. There's more than one twist in this, and it's all coincidentally put together. And that's a little hard for me to believe, but at the same time, I enjoyed it, but it's not my favorite. It's just a twist with a lot of things going on. And it's gory, it's messy, it's complicated, and above all else, it's convoluted. I mean, that's like the word of the day. Convoluted. I think this was good. They put Saw 6 in a limelight that's like, look, we're going to try and tell a story despite what I have to work with here. And they did some effective things. And for that, I'm going to give Saw 6 like it, but I don't own it. And unfortunately, that means that I'd have to get 5 and 6. I think it might be worth a buy, but at the same time, it is what it is. So this ends my review for Saw 6. I liked this one a lot better than 5, but at the same time, this is all just a jumble of movies that are trying to get a point across that doesn't work. I would have been happy if they ended it here, but in the end, what did you guys think of Saw 5 and 6? Let me know down below. If you like this, please subscribe, like, and share. That would be awesome. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll love you forever. And, of course, be ready for Saw 7. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.